Hey guys, my name is Gary. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and drug addict. Where's my book? Oh, it's over there. You know what? Maybe I don't need my book. Um, so it was a great meeting today. I go to a meeting here in Austin, Texas, called the Pink House, and or the Little Pink House, or something like that. It's a 45-year-old little house in 45-year-old meeting, or meeting facility in Austin, Texas, and I'm becoming a regular at this meeting, and I have friends there, and I was floored tonight. I can share this. A guy took a chip tonight, and I don't know if he didn't hear or what, but he's a guy I've been talking to, and he's like becoming a friend, and we'll have dinner tomorrow night. But he they said 30 days. Anybody for 60 days. Anybody to have 30 days, and does anybody want a newcomer chip or whatever? And he stood up and he took his chip, and I was like, oh shit. But he took 90 days. He didn't hear or something. And he goes, I got 90 days. And I'm sitting there. And this is the important thing, you guys, because you never know who you're going to help. Okay? So when you go to these meetings and you share, a lot of times I'm just in there just sharing about my day. It's just about me. I'm trying to get well, and sometimes I'm sharing, I want somebody to hear something, but, I'm pretty new. So most of the time it's all about me, but I'm sharing my experience, and I try to share my experience, my strength, and my hope. Okay. And hopefully that comes across well. It doesn't to everybody, but you never know who you're going to help. This is why meetings are so important, right? And he comes up, he takes his 90-day chip, right? And they go, well, how'd you do it? And I'm sitting in the front, and he goes, well, a lot of it, I got to thank my friend Gary. And what? I wasn't like almost knocked me off my chair, and it made me feel uncomfortable, and it almost made me cry. It was a mix of emotion. It was first off hide, oh my God, you just said my name, right? Like I'm not his higher power. And then it was in a humble way. I was like, oh my God, you have impact on people because you admit you're powerless over alcohol and your life is unmanageable, because you pray to a power greater than yourself and you realize that you're nothing without that power. You have power. You have power to help others. And it literally almost knocked me off my chair. And in a very humbling way, and coming to the realization that, man, with just you coming in here, being honest with all the craziness, because these people here are my crazy, right? Yeah, and they hear stuff that I can't share on video because it's about other people, and I would never harm other people on video, right? I'm not, maybe something will slip out or something one of these times, but I think I watch the videos pretty closely now. Like I watch them before I post them. I used to just post them and then go, hey, you can't say that. You were in a meeting. You can't, but so I watch them now, and I don't want to hurt anybody. So, but they hear my real crazy, you know, da, 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 da. And then they hear how I got through that. It always involves the 12 steps. It you know I always take my crazy to the 12 steps, and it works. To God, to my understanding of God, to my higher power, to my whatever you want to call it, right? Sometimes it's just the meeting. Sometimes somebody in the meeting just says something, or after the meeting. because just to be honest, being honest with myself and my solution, I helped this young man, and he's a cool dude too. That's enough about him because I don't want to talk too much about him. But I'm going to send him this video though. And I know these people that I heard him share the first time he was in that meeting, and I'm not going to say anything about his share, but I saw desperation and willingness, and this is a solid character. This is a strong man, and he probably doesn't feel strong inside, but he walks with the strength because he's doing what I'm doing, and he's one of those guys that when he talks, you listen, and he's going to help a ton of people. He's going to help a lot of fucking people if he stays sober. And I have a pretty good feeling I've been around a long time. I have a pretty good feeling he's going to do just fine, right? The other thing, we had a topic today, and that's it was a great topic. The topic was, that was a long time ago. I forgot. No. Hey, you guys, subscribe. Okay, subscribe. I did it early. Subscribe to my channel, and we do this together. Okay. I'm going back and forth right now with a person on here. Talk about her later, but yeah, this has been cool stuff. But what the hell was I talking about? The topic was blaming others, right? Blaming others. I am a master at blaming others. I can turn a situation around, and if you're going to listen, I'm going to flip that situation around and turn it around, and it's someone else's fault, right? What I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous is that's not how we operate, man. The finger that's going this way, in Alcoholics Anonymous, we learn to do this right back at us. And that's in that fourth step. And learning about ourselves in meetings. Now I know when I'm agitated or doubtful or angry, I look for my part in it because even though it could be someone else's fault, maybe here, let's take a situation where say somebody keys your car. I mean, you have justified anger, right? Or somebody. I lost my son to an accidental fentanyl overdose. I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse, no pun intended, but justified anger. I'm angry. At certain things, at certain policies that we have, border control issues and things like that. We need to start controlling the fentanyl coming in. And I could get on a rant about that, but I'm not going to, because I have my part in that is to share positivity and strength and love across these videos, not politics and dividing people and knocking out half my audience. But my audience is low enough, right? My videos get like 100 views. But blame. So I could blame others. I could sit here and blame others. And then I'm toxic. And then I'm walking around. I think I shared on the phone when I was really suffering with anger over this thing. And I made a couple of videos that I took down because there was politics involved. And I was angry. And I was telling my friend, I don't want to be one of these grumpy old guys, all pissed off at the world and, walking around bitter. I don't want to spread bitterness. I want to spread recovery, right? I want to spread the news on how I'm getting through this stuff, how I get through blaming others, and it's in that fourth step. But you got to do the first three. to get to 4. You know, it's in that 4th step. So that 4th step makes us take a look at our at it made me take a look at the amount of fear that's in me at any given time. I'm not. I could say I'm not full of fear today. I'm not. I'm just not. I mean, I'm not afraid right now. There's nothing eating my lunch right now. And if I think long enough and hard enough about it, I'm sure I could create something real quick. I'm a fucking alcoholic, man. But nothing's eating my lunch today. So, uh, yeah, blame. And the whole meeting, I could blame, when I was out drinking and using, it was the ex-wife's fault. People were talking about, it could be, you know, it could be your kid's fault. They don't understand. I did that. My kids, they don't understand me. They just don't understand me. I'm not harming them. Why aren't they talking to me? They don't understand me, right? That's how I felt, you know? And my oldest son didn't even tell me he was going to have a kid until his girl was 6 months pregnant. Not because he was trying to hurt me, because what I have to offer. I was out drinking and using. And then I took, he doesn't understand me, and if he just understood, it just makes for more drinking. That resentment gets bigger and bigger. And I remember I was so angry at him. And then I went in the mirror. I went into the bathroom, closed the door. I was weeping, right? How could he do this to me? How could he do this to me? And I remember looking at myself, right? Looking close to the mirror, right? And going, he hasn't done a fucking thing to you. This is you. And that's that inner voice. That's that great reality found deep down within us. That great reality was talking to me when I was shooting dope and drinking. And that's what he said to me. This has nothing to fucking do with him and everything to do with you. You can't stop drinking and using dope. And he doesn't want you around his kid or his family. You have nothing to offer. You're a bad example. So, this is the same son who about a month ago, I was at his house holding my grandson. He's about this big, right? He's a little infant, right? He's 4 months old. I'm holding him, right? And I hear his car keys jingling, right? I look up to my son. I'm holding my grandson. I look up to my son, and he's holding his car keys. He goes, "You got this, right? I'm gonna go to Target real quick. I'll be back in like half hour or something." And I was like, yeah, I got this. Yeah, sure." The kid that I was blaming for, he doesn't understand. Why isn't he talking to me? I'm not harming him, right? Of course it harmed him, man. He didn't want to see his dad swirling down the toilet like a big old turd, He had nothing to be proud of me for, So I was in his work last night. He's a bartender. I was talking to a gentleman last night, and in talking with him, he's like, he was 68 years old, and he said, I mentioned, he's like, "Let me get you a drink. Let me get you a drink," right? He was fucking liquored up pretty good, right? Good guy though, right? So I was talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, let me buy you a drink, man." And I'm like, "I just left an AA meeting. Yeah, I mean, if I start drinking, I'm gonna be taking off my clothes and shit like that, and hitting on the waitresses." And he's like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Well, I was in the program." And I go, "Really? And you're drinking?" And he goes, "No, I was in Al-Anon. My son, we almost lost, him. He was drinking hard and heavy, and I didn't know what to do, so I went to Al-Anon, and he worked his 12 steps. So it's I never hide who I am. I mean, job interview or something, you probably don't want to tell them, yeah, I'm a fucking drunk, right? But they know who I am at work, Uh, they know I'm sober. They know. They know I was a fuck up, and I'm not anymore. So, anyways, so stop blaming everybody else and stop doing this and do that. And look in the mirror and talk to your great reality and see what he says about you when you're looking in the mirror. And then don't use that as a reference point to beat the living fuck out of yourself. Use that as a reference point, as a starting point. Use that as because after my God told me that in the mirror, I was sober about a week later. I was in Palm Springs at the time. I drove to Houston, completely fucked up a job opportunity. It was actually a guy wanting to invest in my company, and I was so fucked up when I got to that meeting. And I remember that day, I was shooting dope and drinking to calm myself down to go to the meeting. And I couldn't put enough Visine, and my eyes were like blood red. And I didn't sleep for like 3 days. Went to the meeting, totally fucked that thing up, and on the way back, I got COVID in El Paso. So, and I was like, after 5 days, fuck, I got 5 days sober after coming out of it. So, it's a cool thing. I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, you guys, but this journey that we're on together, and we don't do it perfectly. I mean, some of you may be drinking now and listening, and I may be drinking and need you one of these days. This disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and recovery is a day at a time. What we have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. And I believe that. And there's a lot of days that I'm not spiritually fit, and God still grants me the grace to walk through this life sober with my resentments, with my toxic behavior, and allows me that kind of grace and time to find the steps and start working those steps to get well again. Because my life can become very unmanageable not drinking just because of my alcoholism, just because of the way I'm put together up here. The disease of alcoholism centers in the mind, and it doesn't center in the alcohol. It centers in the mind. The alcohol is not the problem. Okay, the alcohol is the symptom. That's our solution to what's going on up here when we're out drinking and using. Then when we remove that alcohol, we need something to combat this, what's going on, the negative thoughts and the resentments and the fear and all that stuff. We need something to combat that, and I do that with the 12 steps. So, subscribe, right? Whether it's here or here, I'm not sure, right? Subscribe. And thank you guys for taking this journey with me. Aura, it's time to talk about you. Thank you for binge watching my videos like I binge watch Yellowstone, okay? Thank you. And I'd rather binge watch Yellowstone any day, right? Kevin Costner's way more cool than I am, but he's from my hometown. Hang in there, sister. We're talking back and forth, and yeah, man, I got all that same shit that you have. I've been diagnosed bipolar and stuff like that, but I was drinking at the time, and we behave, us alcoholics, it's really hard to diagnose us with anything. I mean, they can diagnose us all fucking day, but until you remove the booze and the drugs for a period of time, I would say give it 6 months, then go in for a diagnosis. Go alcohol and drug free, work the steps, and then go get diagnosed. See what they come up with. When I went to therapy for 7 years, and I did it sober, and my therapist, he had been doing this for, I think it was 35 years, and he had been sober for 30. And he's gone now. But I remember one of the last times I saw him, he said there's something fucked up about everybody, Gary. There's some, out of the 30 years, you see these people, and we all got something. Whether it's food, sex, shopping, you know, who knows, fucking jacking off, whatever it is, right? We all got something, right? That we need to correct, or that we do unhealthy. Some people take exercise till it's an extreme. But we've all got something that we have a crutch on, and we're all kind of fucked up in a little bit of a way, right? And I said, well, what's wrong with me? And I remember he said, I would say the biggest problem that you have, Gary, is that you believe that love will conquer everything. And it just doesn't, son. It just doesn't. And that stuck with me since the day he said it. And I was like, what does he mean? What does he mean? And I get it now. And I get it now, especially when I'm in relationships. Any kind of relationship, not just a sexual one. If we're not seeing eye to eye on something like that, and I'm just like, don't they just understand? But there's a lot more fucked up with me than just thinking that. Trust me. But I think he was being honest, and he was trying to tell me something. So we're at 21 minutes 46 seconds. I was going to keep these at 20 minutes apiece, so I'm going to wrap it up right here. Don't forget the Impact Foundation, started by an Energizer Bunny friend of mine named Vicky. I spoke to her this week, and what a great call that was. Vicky, you're fucking awesome, and I've felt very peaceful since I've talked to you, and we went through the toxic thing that you and I spoke about, and I used that yesterday, and I used it today, so I'm wiping that shit right off. And she was saying, if you go into a toxic place and you feel that toxic energy and people are fucking shitty, what you do is you take that shit and just fucking wipe that shit right off of you, man. Wipe it off of you. Even go wash your face, right? Get that fucking energy off your body. And even the ritual of just doing that, making you aware that you were just in a toxic environment and you're leaving, is huge. So thank you, my sister, Vicky. And Vicky started the Impact Foundation because her son, Chase Malone, took a pill that was laced with fentanyl, and he died from an accidental fentanyl overdose in a similar way that my son died from an accidental fentanyl overdose. I don't know if my son knew it was fentanyl or not. We don't know yet. But Vicky's son didn't know what the fuck he was taking. He was poisoned by the cartel. And with all that pain that she had inside, she started the Impact Foundation to help people, kind of like how I started these videos. And with all that pain, she thought, I'm going to help as many people as I can while I'm on this earth. She starts the Impact Foundation, and it's just up and running, and she's helping people these days. And she's learning a lot, and she still needs your funds. We need your funds for this thing to get off the ground and start flying. And we all need to give in one way or another to, in order to receive, okay? And if you've got some extra cash, go on theimpactfoundationla.org. Check out the foundation. Look at the players. Look at Vicky, her other sons on there. Look at the people who run this thing. They're all good people, and they're coming from the right place. Nobody's driving Ferraris or anything like that. This is the real deal. And it's designed and set up just to help people. So, theimpactfoundationla.org. Hit the donate button. Hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys on my next video.